didn't, did we? So let's give ourselves a round of applause. We could have been anywhere. You know, I had the advantage point of getting to look at all your faces. And I got to tell you, by the looks of your faces, from my vantage point, everyone appears to want to be here. Is that fair? It didn't appear you were dragged here. And I know that may get a chuckle, but I will tell you, I sat where you were sitting not too long ago, and I was dragged here. My father-in-law made me go. I didn't want to go. Water was water to me. I was already in the club. I drank water every day. I knew how important it was. But whether it came out of a bottle, whether it came out of a hose, whether it came out of my bathtub, I really didn't see a difference. And I didn't want to spend the afternoon or the evening talking about H2O. But he stuck with it because he loved me, and he was very persuasive as my father-in-law, and I managed to get to see what you're going to see tonight. So if you're coming from that background where water's water, you'll probably get more out of tonight than most people. I'm here to introduce you to Kangen water. It is a medical grade water from Japan. It is not new. When I sat where you were sitting, I thought, what is this new water? What is this new product? Someone's trying to show me. This, believe it or not, has been around for over 70 years. That's a long time. When I sat where you were sitting, that was remarkable to me. 65 years ago, this company, it made its way to Japan, to where this was deemed a medical water in Japan 65 years ago. In every hospital, they were the size of the wall, right? But they were in every hospital, and the only way you got to this water was going to the hospital. That's surprising to me. I'm 56 years old. 10 years before I got to the planet, this was in every hospital. It's not new. 43 years ago, this company called Enagic adopted it, and they started making these to go into residential homes, almost 50 years ago. In Japan today, it's in 1 in 5 homes. They know what it is in Japan. We don't know what it is here. In Japan, it's in every hospital, has been for decades. It's in thousands of restaurants. In the United States, it's been here for 15 years, just got here. It's okay if you haven't heard of it. It's in 1 in 17,000 homes. Now, I'm just assuming you know one person who has one of these if you don't have it yourself. Statistically, the next 17,000 people you meet won't. It's okay if you haven't heard of it. I needed to hear this when I sat where you were. I was like, well, water's water, and how come I've never heard of it? Because I know everything. But we don't even know what we don't know, right? We only know what we've been taught. I'm going to tell you some things tonight that are going to be hard to hear. They're just simply going to be hard to hear. It's going to be hard to hear because it's the first time you've ever heard it. But let me help you open your mind to hearing some things tonight that you haven't heard before. When it comes to health and wellness and longevity, who believes Japan probably is the #1 country in the world? Yeah. They outlive all of us per capita. Yeah. If you look around, that doesn't even surprise people. But what should surprise you is that in the United States of America, we're not ranked #2 or #5. The US of A. We're not in the top 10 countries. Does that surprise you? Or is that just me? We're not in the top 20. We're not in the top 30. We're not in the top 40. We're ranked 49th in the world today. 48 countries outlive us. You know who 48th is today? Somalia. If you were born and raised in Somalia and just got here, you're going to outlive the room statistically. That's scary. That's scary. So, are you open? We're here tonight. Are you open to hear about what the top 5 countries are doing when it comes to healthcare reform? What they do and how they approach health and disease? It's going to be something you haven't heard before. So just be open to hearing those things. I would tell you that when I was introduced to this, there was a real smart guy, and I sat where you were sitting, and he said, this is medical grade, restructured alkaline water. And I looked around the room and thought, what a smart thing to say. I have no idea what he's talking about. Why does everybody else seem like they know what he's talking about? I didn't know anymore when I sat down. And then someone took the time to explain restructured water, and then the bells started going off. I started to understand a little bit. So I thought, hey, that was handy-dandy information. That guy probably should have led with that. I'm going to lead with it. Because when we know that we restructure properties, who believes they take on different forms altogether?
Yes.
One person? No, 3? 5. Just so I get to know the crowd a little bit. Raise your hand if you're excited about getting some good new information.
Yes.
Who are you? There you go. Hey, let's be fair. Raise your hand if you're not really sure what you're going to see tonight. There's a few. Right? Is that fair? We're all involved to some degree. Raise your hand if you're not going to raise your hand no matter what I say.
That's fair.
See, that's fair. We're all involved, right? So when we restructure properties, they take on different forms. The best example I know is quartz. Quartz is a beautiful stone that comes out of the earth. It makes a beautiful granite countertop. Wouldn't you agree? But quartz is not complicated, molecularly. Matter of fact, we're running out of things you can do with quartz. But when you restructure quartz, let me get your attention. When we restructure quartz, and all that means is you take the same molecular structure and you change the batting order up. Well, you can restructure quartz into crystal quartz. Who believes that's nothing like quartz?
Mm-hmm.
No.
For sure.
Right? Crystal quartz, you can run light through it and heat through it. You can make a fine watch with crystal quartz. You can guide a missile with it. You can communicate with it. You could do fiber optics. So this kind of goes on, doesn't it? Well, water's the same way. Water's just H2O. It is not complicated molecularly. We learned it in grade school, elementary school, and there's only a few things water can do. That's probably why when someone said, you gotta come see this, and all these incredible properties and these things that this water does, that's too hard for us to hear. We've been doing that deal our whole life, H2O. None of these things have happened to us or anybody we've ever met. You know, maybe that's why you came. What is this, could this possibly be? Well, here's the simplicity to it. What this medical device does, among many things, one of the things it does is it restructures water. It just simply takes H2O and it cleaves off one of the hydrogen molecules. And what's actually coming out of the top of this hose is actually OH negative. It's even got a name. It's called hydroxyl. And here's a whole smoking gun. Hydroxyl, like crystal quartz. Hydroxyl is just a different animal. Hydroxyl does things water can't do. H2O can't do. Now, I don't know who needed to hear that. I really don't. I did. When I said where you were, I needed to hear this dude wasn't going to talk about H2O all night. I was in the club, and I was the H2O drinker. To find out that it wasn't H2O, I was like, okay, I'm a little bit open to hearing these things. So what I want to do tonight is tell you about the 3 properties of this water. Then I'm going to show you the 3 properties of this water, and then I'm going to teach you how healthcare is approached in other countries. Then I'm going to show you how healthcare is approached in other countries, and I'll make it ABC, and we'll stay real quick. One of the first properties of this Kangen water is that it is a very powerful antioxidant, extremely powerful antioxidant. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. You know, I say that, and people say, what is a natural anti-inflammatory? Well, you know what anti-inflammatory is, or you might be taking ibuprofen or Aleve. You know it works, it's an anti-inflammatory, but you gotta know it's not natural. You can't take ibuprofen for the next 30 years, you know that, right? Your body can't process it, the liver's gonna have issues. And we know that, so we just take it and go, but the pain is going away, I'll roll the dice. Well, that's not natural. This is natural. You're gonna drink it, and you're gonna wake up in the morning and your feet aren't gonna hurt, and pains are gonna go away. And you're gonna call the person who introduced this to you and say, how could water do that? Well, 1, it's not water. 2, it's a natural anti-inflammatory. It's a natural antibiotic. And I'll tell you more about that tonight. That's pretty simple. And it's also a natural anti-aging property. Who finds that one hard to hear? Someone told me anti-aging. I was like, that's cute. Does it come with a unicorn? I mean, what is anti-aging? We all want to anti-age, right? And then I found a good way to at least show that to you. This is a jar I filled up with metal. I showed a few of you earlier, but I put it in here 5 years ago, but I filled it up with tap water. Tap water is oxidizing, it's aging, it's rusting, it's harmful, it's inviting inflammation into the body. I have to shake that up and put it on the camera so you can see. And this doesn't surprise you, right? You can cut an apple in half, you can watch it age, rust, oxidize. You can leave some metal out over the weekend when it rains, and this is gonna happen. But this should surprise you. 5 years ago, I filled up with the same metals in another jar, but I filled it up with negatively charged, electrolyzed reduced, anti-aging water. Now there's a lot of, the metal is deoxidized, but it hasn't rusted. I mean, if someone said, Mike, you got 2 minutes, go, I would say, explain that to me. It's hard to explain, isn't it? I mean, which one do you want to cook your food with tonight, brush your teeth with, wash your face with, clean your babies with? All water must not be created equal. When I saw this 9 years ago, I relaxed a little bit and thought, there's probably a lot I don't know about water. And I went ahead and opened up my arms and said, let me see what you got. Teach me a little bit, because this one already, I'm stumped. All water was the same. This kind of blows that theory, doesn't it? But don't let that surprise you. As I was telling someone else earlier, if you're taking an anti-aging toner or astringent or something, and you're spending $20 or $200 a month, flip it over. I guarantee you the first property is hydroxyl. It's the anti-aging molecule on the planet. Like I was saying, hydroxytone, hydroxynet, hydroxygen, hydroxylin, it's hydroxyl something. That's the anti-aging molecule from that. So let me tell you about oxidants and antioxidants. And I'm going to say it a couple of ways, because I do have some medical people in the room, I have scientists in the room, and everybody needs to hear it a little bit differently. So oxidants are aging, they're rusting, they're wreaking havoc on your body, they're inviting inflammation in. But they're positively charged ions. Antioxidants, they have a lot of names, but they're negatively charged ions. And antioxidants is why you eat vegetables, because they're negatively charged. You know, your free radicals in your body are causing havoc. Free radicals are like something like a tripod missing a leg. It's just wreaking havoc in your body. And what antioxidants do, they loan it an electron, the free radical, and it stabilizes it and takes out the trash. Electron, negative, right? Remember this one from middle school. Proton, positive. Neutron, neutral. Electron, negative. So it loans it a negative charge. That's an antioxidant. Another name for antioxidants, you hear it a lot in the marketplace, Gatorade's full of electrolytes. Same thing. They could have said Gatorade's full of antioxidants. They could have said Gatorade's full of negatively charged ions. They said we would have all went, well, that doesn't mean anything to us. but it's the same thing, negatively charged. So if you measure a property and it's positively charged, that's an oxidant. It's aging, it's rusting. Negatively charged would be an antioxidant. So here's the good news. You can measure oxidants and antioxidants today scientifically. You couldn't do that years and years ago, but you can now. You measure it in a scientific term. If you're taking notes, this is a good one, and it's called ORP. That's the measurement of those. That's oxidation reduction potential. The potential for properties to oxidize or to age or to rust. Some of these properties are more oxidizing than others. Kind of household items though, aren't they? Some of these are so oxidizing, you may want to consider whether you want to put that in your body, but how would we know? They're all kind of household stuff. Well, now they make an ORP meter. It has one job. It measures properties. If I measure a property and it's a positive 100, that property's an oxidant. It's aging, it's rusting, and it's inviting inflammation in your body. If I measure a property and it's a positive 200, does this make sense? We're going the wrong way. That's more oxidizing. A positive 300, you're going off the grid on oxidation. If there was a bus outside with black diesel smoke and your baby or grandbaby was standing in that smoke, you'd pull them out. You know that's not healthy. If I could just rush this out there, that'd be about a positive 450 ORP, just so you have a baseline to what would be kind of hazardous. You wouldn't leave your kid out there long. You don't need it. You don't need to consult your doctor or get on the internet. You just pull them out, right? It's pretty simple. Let me check what the internet people say first. Okay. Now, that's about a 450. But if I could find a property and it measured to negative, like a -5, that's a true antioxidant, a true anti-inflammatory, a true anti-aging property. So let me tell you about your body and what you're going to see. You have these 73 trillion cells in your body, lots of them. And those cells are wrapped around like a little aquaporin that protects the cell. And inside each of the cells are little ports. They're actually hexagonal in shape. Well, those cells need to get to a -50 millivolts to rebound. Your body's electrical. Right? Your body's like 80% water, and it happens to be salt water. So your bodies respond, they start to rebound at a -50. People say, what do you mean rebound? I mean, if you have a headache, if you have a hangover, if your feet hurt, if you have diabetes, if you have cancer, if you have the flu, no matter what, your bodies can't start rebounding to a -50. So let me tell you about some antioxidants. Vitamin C is an antioxidant. Most of us are aware of that, right? Well, when you measure vitamin C, it happens to be about a -50 on the ORP scale. Isn't that coincidentally make a little bit of sense? Like when you get the flu and you're going to approach it homeopathically, what's the good advice? You should probably stay hydrated, make sure you get lots of liquids, and you get lots of rest. Oh, and take a bunch of vitamin C. Does that sound pretty normal? And we do, don't we? We don't even know why. Yeah, everybody does vitamin C when you have the flu. If someone said scientifically, why vitamin C? You go, I don't know, because everyone does. It's because it's a -50. That's where the body starts to rebound. If you're not doing if you do anything underneath vitamin C, you don't even have a chance. Does that make sense? If you drink like a green tea, a nice green tea, a high quality green tea, properly steeped, not just some old green tea, you can get to a -85. Who thinks that might be a good regimen to add? Sure. Get rest, get hydrated, take some vitamin C, go find you a nice herb or a supplement and take it daily. Help you rebound. Why? It's 1.5 times what the cell needs. Who thinks people do rebound that way with that criteria? Yeah. Yeah, that's part of healthcare reform there, is not treating the symptom. How about juicing? You don't have to raise your hand, but we know people who juice. You might juice. Let me at least tell you why people juice. You juice because you can get to a -100. And if you could juice every day, that's powerful. You talk to a juicer, he'll stand on why he juices. But let me tell you the two things he'll also tell you. It's very expensive. And they don't tend to stay with it. And every time I say that, a juicer comes up afterwards and says, what do you mean we don't stay with it? And I'm like, how long you been juicing? Like 1.5 years? I said, that's what I mean. It's hard to meet someone who's been juicing for 10 years or 20 years. You know, it's their lifestyle. It's just kind of trendy to get through the situation. That makes sense? But let me at least tell you why. Can you imagine a negative 200 on this planet? That'd be a very powerful antioxidant. So we're going to measure some of these properties. Before I go any further, I just want you to know my heart, because if you'll understand my heart, you'll get more out of tonight. I believe we're all adults in the room. We get to make our own decisions. Does that make sense? If I want to go outside and smoke a cigarette, I should be able to smoke a cigarette. That's an adult decision. You shouldn't judge me that I smoke. You can decide whether it's a good decision, whether it's a bad decision. But I'm an adult, right? But if you see me give my 10-year-old a cigarette, then I can't do that one, right? See the difference? What I've got to show you tonight is to help you. I'm not judging you. You want to come back and drink these things? Drink them. You're an adult. But once you understand what these are, you can't let your mama drink them, your children drink them, your spouse, because they're dealing with diabetes or cancer. I'm here just to educate you and give you information and not to tell you what you got to do on this planet. Does that make sense? You'll get more out of it tonight if you know I'm not preaching to you. From that standpoint. So we're going to measure some of these properties. We're going to find out how oxidizing they are. They might surprise you. Or if they're antioxidants or electrolytes, like the marketplace says. The second property I'm going to show you is that this water is alkalized, not alkaline. It's alkalized in its very nature. Now I'm just guessing, for some of you, that might be all you knew coming here, because that's all I knew. I knew it was water, and I knew it was alkaline. I wouldn't know what it looked like if they put it in my face when I walked in the door, but I knew it was water and I knew it was alkaline. So in just in case one of you don't have a background in pH, I was that guy. pH is real simple. It goes from 0 to 14. Pretty simple. There's no such thing as a 15 pH. It only goes to 14, and 7 is neutral. Anything under 7 would be acidic. Anything over 7 would be alkaline. And let me tell you why that should be important to you. There was a Dr. Otto Warburg. Now I want you to say that name to yourself. I don't want you to say it out loud. Otto Warburg. Does he sound like he's from South Texas? Yeah, he's from Germany. He's from the fifth rank country. Yeah, I say that, people say, sounds like he's from New Brunswick. Same thing. Right? Same thing. He's from New Brunswick. Anyway, this guy won 2 Nobel Prizes. And if you know the Nobel Prize, it's not a theory prize. It wasn't some dude with a great theory, it's a fact prize. And this guy won 2. He did, not in the United States. Might be why you haven't heard of it. He won 1 in science and 1 in medicine, where he proved that cancer, sickness, disease, inflammation, high blood pressure, the flu, diabetes, none of those things can survive in an alkaline environment. Where's that information? Well, Mike, it sounds opinionated. He won 2 Nobel Prizes. Look it up. That's not an opinion. That's fact-based and proven. Those things actually thrive in an acidic environment. Now look, we don't have a big crowd tonight, and that's okay. I think really, truly, everybody's supposed to be here is here. But even in this little bitty room, let me tell you, statistically, there's cancer in this room. It's sad, mean, makes you cry, it's unacceptable. We've lost too many people to cancer. Let me tell you, cancer is not complicated molecularly. If you'll talk to the cancer patient or the oncologist, let me tell you the #1 property of cancer, and this probably won't surprise you, it's acidosis. Now, it doesn't even really surprise very many people. They're like, yeah, I can figure that. But the #2 property kind of catches people up. The #2 property of cancer is a term called hypoxia, which is lack of oxygen. That's the #2 property of cancer. You're being introduced to a medical device from Japan. It's not an appliance. It's alkaline in its very nature. If you don't know that, I'm going to show that to you. You're halfway home, according to this Nobel Prize winner. And you know it's super oxygenated because it's OH negative. It's 1 O and it's 1 H. That's the molecular structure. It's 50% O and 50% H. And guess what the O is? Oxygen. You might be hearing some incredible, hard to hear testimonial stories about what this water's done for people right around you, in this very room and around the world, when it comes to cancer, diabetes, Crohn's, which is not supposed to have a cure, inflammations, all these things. They're hard to hear stories. These are the properties of them. But let me be real clear tonight. I'm not here to tell you this water cured these people of cancer and Crohn's and diabetes. I'm here to tell you that what this water did is it took those 73 trillion cells and it moved it alkaline, where those things couldn't live. And their own immune system, the way God made their body, beefed up, and it beat those diseases. I don't want to go on record telling you this is magic water. If you drink it, it's going to cure you. That's ridiculous. But this water will put your body in a state that it will heal itself. And all those stories are true, even in this very room of people that used to have cancer. Does that make sense? The water didn't cure them, it just moved those. So let me tell you, we don't really talk about pH in the United States. It's just not something we talk about medically. And you don't have to be a doctor to know that's a true statement. You know why? We go to doctors, don't we? And they check for a lot of stuff, don't they? I'll start naming them. You can name them. They check your cholesterol, your blood, what else? Your weight, sugar.
Credit card.
We can put them in order. Check your credit card. Do you have insurance, sir?
That's the first thing.
That's the first thing.
The first
Yeah. Are you covered? That's not really the case around the world. What are some other things they check for? I mean, we can do this for an hour, couldn't we? When's the last time they checked your pH? No one really stands up to that, do they? They're like, well, I thought it was just me. Really? When did they check your pH? Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Now, if you have a medical background, they know it does get checked from time to time, but like when you're in a crash situation, that's through your urine or something. But you don't get in and get tested on your pH. You find this interesting. If you went to a Japanese hospital, not only do they check your pH, it's the first thing they check, and they don't even know how to start homeostasis until they can figure out a baseline of your pH. Isn't that kind of crazy? So let me share this with you. I want you to hear what I'm saying tonight. That's easy. Then I want you to hear what I didn't say tonight, and that's going to be a little bit difficult, because I walked out of here the first night I saw this, and I said all the wrong things to all the wrong people. I didn't quite understand what he was saying. So what am I saying? I'm talking about moving your pH at the cellular level. The 73 trillion cells, moving it alkaline, where that's going to take over your immune system and get you healthy. That's easy. What did I not say? I need you to hear this. Well, I wasn't talking about your blood pH. Anybody with a medical background is going to need to hear me say this. Or you need to hear me say this before you go out and talk to the public. So your blood pH doesn't change. Your blood pH has very little regulation. A lot of things in your body has very little regulation. Your temperature has little regulation, right? You've never met anybody with a 73 temperature, have you? Or 114?
No.
Right? Yeah, it's just got a little variance, right? Blood's even less than that. So your blood pH doesn't really move. Your blood pH is about 7. 7 is neutral, right? 7.365 of a hundredth of a point. And if it moves a tenth of a point to the left, you're probably going to go into a coma. If your blood pH moves a tenth of a point to the right, you're probably going to expire. You're probably not going to make it. Now, based on that, people will say, hey, this is all mythical stuff. It doesn't matter what you eat or drink on this planet. Your body's going to make it alkaline. Absolutely true. Your body's going to make it 7.365. Bet your life on it. No matter what you eat or drink, your body's going to make it 7.365. Here's what's not taught in the United States, and this is what I came to teach you tonight. This is what's taught around the world. How did your body make it 7.365? What did your body have to go through to reach homeostasis? At what price did your body pay for you to reach homeostasis? And what about the day it didn't make it 7.365? Is that ever on the table? These are all books. These are doctors outside the world, outside the United States. This is Dr. Theodore Brody. His book says alkalize or die. It's not even a suggestion. He'll tell you exactly that. You were born alkaline, you will die acidic. It's all pH driven, right? Well, let me teach it to you, because I'm going to tell you what I'm going to show you. It's real simple. Let's just say your blood's a 7, neutral, and you put a 6 in it, something a pH of 6. That's not a big deal. That's only 10 times more acidic than your blood. It's not one time. It's logarithmic, right? It's got like an algorithm. So that's 10 times more acidic than your blood. So what does your body have to do to get to 7? It's real simple. It's got to go into your body and find alkaline minerals, magnesium, potassium, calcium. And it leaches them out and reaches homeostasis. It's not even a big deal. You can do that. The younger you are, the easier it is. Something 10 times more acidic is simple, real simple. And that's not the bad news. But when you put a 5 in your body, that's 100 times more acidic. It's not 20, it's 100 times. Okay, now your body's got to do a few more things it wasn't really prepared to do. Not a big deal. But when you put a 4 in your body, that's 1,000 times more acidic. Your body's going to come leaching minerals out of places you can't afford to leach them. Matter of fact, in our 40s, in our 50s, doctor has them on it. Oh, my doctor has me on magnesium. My doctor has me on potassium. Yeah, because we're short. Excuse me. Because we're short those minerals. Yeah, he has you on them. Does that make sense? It sounds like bad news, doesn't it? Yeah. When you put a 3 in your body, that's 10,000 times more acidic than your blood pH, and your body wasn't designed for that. And your body's got to go crawling out of places you just can't afford to lose them. It's going to take them from places that you're not relating to the pH. You're relating it to the disease. I have this. I'm 42 and I'm dealing with this. What pHs are you putting in your body? What does that have to do with anything? Oh, where do you think the minerals come from? How do you think you stay 7.365? Does that make sense? And then about that time, people go, okay, You're gonna have to show me that, but what's really a 3 on this planet? Well, let me show you some 3s. How about all the Capri Suns, little sports drinks we give the kids? That's a 3. You're not putting them on the right track if you're putting 10,000 times more acidic than your blood. All those sports drinks, Propels, vitamin waters, Gatorades, all those are a 3. Sodas, Dr. Pepper, Mr. Pibb, all those are 3s. We're putting a lot of 3s in our bodies and we don't even know it. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna show you some of those from that standpoint. Hey, listen, but don't let that surprise you. I mean, let's be logical. If you don't have the medical background, think about this logically. If your pool was sick, it's green, it's full of algae, you're not swimming in it. Your dog doesn't get to drink it. You're like, no, get away from that pool. That's not healthy. How do you think they get it healthy? Who thinks they change out all the water, shock the pool, balance the pH? Not so crazy, huh? People say, well, a pool's not alive. I think it is. I think water's very much alive. How about, raise your hand if you ever had a fish tank. 4 people. Raise your hand if you ever met anybody who ever had a fish tank. There we go. Come on, we all gotta play. Have you ever seen a fish kind of swimming like funky, like kicking weird, and you're like, hey, that dude's not gonna make it? Yeah. What do you think the answer is? Well, let me teach you healthcare reform in the United States. You'd bag him up and take him to the doctor. You know, fish is, he's kicking kind of funky. You go, what do we do? He's gonna do 3 things. He's gonna run some tests on your fish. He's gonna name the ill. He's gonna give him a pill. You're gonna get the bill. That's healthcare reform. Right? He's gonna say, hey, what's your fish name? Willie. Okay, let me tell you about Willie. He's gonna be okay. Willie has left funky rear gill syndrome. Ever heard of that? Yeah, your fish has it. And you're like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? Well, it's not complicated. You just put this little flake on top of the water every morning. He'll come up and take that flake. And we can treat this, we can manage this. Is he gonna die? No, as long as he comes and takes that pill every day, he's gonna be okay. And that's all? Oh no, that's not all. Here's the bill. You're not in Europe, you're not in Japan. It's not a free service. Does that make a little sense? Take that fish to your veterinarian and see if that conversation goes a little differently. You know what he's gonna say? He's gonna say, Mike, this is real simple. Your fish tank is like, he's just like you. You know how you're 80% water? Your fish tank's 80% water. And anyone who ever had a fish tank, you know, I told the pet guy, my fish tank's like 100% water. Because when it's 80% water, it gurgles all night and I can't get to sleep, right? You know? And he says, no, you're missing the point. When you take out all the rocks and that little scuba diver dude who swims around in the pump house, there's about 80% water. And I'm like, okay, what's your point? You win. He says, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take out all that water and change it out and put some good, clean water in there. Because that's mainly what that fish tank is, just like you. You're gonna change out all the water. And I said, then he's gonna live? He goes, well, you're gonna need to put a few drops of these in there first. And I'm like, well, you're the pet dude. What do those drops do? Anybody want to guess what those drops do? They balance the pH in the fish tank. So I'm gonna change out all the water and balance the fish tank. My fish is gonna have a chance? Who believes the fish got a chance? Come on, logically, how far off are we in a fish? Could there be something to this? I'm gonna show it to you. I'm just trying to get you to understand it medically, or at least understand it logically, what I'm gonna show you. Because now you understand what I showed you. The third property is this water's itty bitty molecular. Itty bitty, small. This is not H2O. It's gonna superhydrate you at the cellular level. So there's hydration and there's hydration at the cellular level. Does that make sense? Those are 2 different things. Hydration is, you know, would you like something to drink? No. My tongue isn't sticking to the top of my mouth. Oh, well, you must not be thirsty. You must be hydrated, right? Hydration at the cellular level, that's where inflammation goes away. Pains go away. That's what this book is all about. This is, I just learned how to say his name after years. I already forgot, but it's Batman Galedge, I believe. Galedge, is that what I said?
Yeah.
What did I say?
I thought you said Gotti,
Gotti?
Batman Gotti,
No.
something like that.
I still don't know how to say it.
Gotti.
Batman.
Galedge?
Dr.
Galedge.
There you
Dr.
go.
Batman.
That'll work.
We're just going to stay with Dr. Batman. So anyway, his book says your body's many cries for water. Pretty cool, huh? He says you're not sick, you're thirsty. First time I read it, same thing I thought, well, that's cute, but there's some of us that are sick, like on medication sick. That's a kind of a cute book, but he's saying I'm not sick, I'm thirsty, you know. And here my aunt's on 9 meds. She's sick. And he says, no, read the rest of my book. Quit taking medications for dehydration.
Yes.
You're clinically dehydrated and don't know it. People say, what do you mean clinically dehydrated? Well, in the United States, 98% of us are clinically dehydrated and don't know it. That means she's hydrated at the cellular level and none of us are. And there's a lot of people that will argue that point. They say, hey, I'm in her camp. I'm a water drinker. I know a lot of people drink this stuff, but I don't, Doc. Matter of fact, it's what I drink, Aquafina. And Doc says, well, how many of these do you drink a day? I said, I drink like 6 a day, 7 a day, 8 a day. And he says, well, you're still in that group, you're not in hers. You probably should be drinking 26 or 28 of these, 30 of these a day. I was like, well, who's gonna do that? And what he's telling you is you're just drinking the wrong water that molecularly doesn't have the potential to hydrate you. Now, let me tell you something that's gonna be hard to hear tonight, and I'm getting ready to show you all this. Water doesn't even hydrate you. That's hard to hear. It's the minerals in the water that hydrate you. Water is the propulsion to push the minerals into the port. And the better shaped it is, the easier to go in. Hydration's not a phenomenon. Hydration is a Nobel teaching. You can watch a 15-minute video. It's the minerals and the supplements that can get into a port, filter, and come out the other port of the cell. That's hydration. It's real simple. But it's got to be small enough to get into the port. If it can't get into the cell, it has no way of hydrating you. So this is itty-bitty water. This is itty-bitty molecularly. You might have already had 2 glasses. You might have 3 or 4 before you leave, and you wonder, how am I drinking so much water? I never drink this much water. That's because this one didn't go into your belly. This one's going into the cells, into the tissues, into the organs. H2O is bulky. That's why people don't drink water. I'll introduce this to somebody, they're like, I'm not a water drinker. Why? It slows me down, it's bulky. You ever drink a lot of water and someone says, let's go take a walk? And you're like, give me a second, right? Wanna go play some golf or basketball or something? You're like, hold on, I just drank a bunch of water, right? Well, let me help you with that. Water binds together molecularly, H2Os, they bind. Scientifically, it's called surface tension. And some waters have more surface tension than others. Does that make sense? When H2Os bind at 20 molecules, think of it as like a golf ball. Obviously under a microscope, right? But when water binds at 40 molecules, water's bigger. It's got more surface tension. Now they're like softballs. When water binds at 90 molecules, and people say, well, what is at 90 molecules? Well, most bottled water is at 90 molecules because it's been in there more than 24 hours, if you don't know. It's been in there more than 24 months, if you really want to know. There's a lot of surface tension in it. Those are like basketballs. Well, if I had a big bucket in front of me, and it was full of golf balls, softballs, and basketball, hundreds. It took all 4 of us to pick the bucket up. And we took a running start, and we threw it up against a chain link fence, the backstop of a dugout. Who believes most of those properties aren't going through the fence?
Right.
Who believes if you stood on the other side, some of those golf balls would come through? That's hydration. That's hydration. The golf balls that made it through was hydration. What happened to the rest? It bypassed the fence, and it hit the floor. What happens to the water, the minerals that don't get into the cell? They bypass all the tissues, the organs, and they urinate them out. So how do we get hydrated, super hydrated? You gotta throw a lot of buckets at it. Is that starting to make sense? Go to your doctor and say, how much, should I be drinking water? Absolutely. Mainly water, right? You say, how much? And what does he say?
A lot.
A bunch. That's just the answer, right? You need to drink a bunch of water, right? Why do you have to drink a bunch? Because it's real simple. If you drink a bunch of water today, H2O, there's enough golf balls in there to make a difference. You gotta drink a bunch to get to them. When I tell you this is itty bitty molecularly, imagine this is, the Kangen water is only 4 molecules. Everything I tell you, I'm gonna show you. I'm getting ready to show you. The Kangen water is like 4 molecules, 5 molecules. There's very few things that small on the planet. What does that mean? That means if I filled this up with a property, it'd be like BBs. If I filled them up with BBs and tossed them, wouldn't they all go through the fence? That's hydration at the cellular level. That's hydration. That's what an IV is, right? IVs don't make you full. They're itty bitty. They're getting to the tissue, the organ, the cell. They're mineral rich. You ever went in and got an IV and that's all they did? They took some blood, ran some tests, told you whether it was viral or bacterial, but all they gave you was an IV. And you felt a little better? Yeah, I feel a little better. Why are you feeling better? Is it just water, saline, salt, minerals? Oh, we got to the cellular level. Does that make sense? Yeah, so let me show you this. Who's ready to see this? I know that's a lot of information, but this will go over a little quicker if you have understanding of what those 3 properties are.